Welcome to another episode of the Build and Scale Boldly podcast. Today, I'm so excited to be inviting my first guest onto the show. She is Laurie Wintonick. She is my head of business for Beyara, and I'm really excited to be talking to her about what women need to succeed in business. Now, Laurie is a seasoned entrepreneur and has done a lot of things and really has a lot of insights into entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship for women. She's been a business strategist for over 26 years in C-suite leadership. She has experience building teams, scaling operations, and driving organizational growth. Over the last 8 years, she's been doing coaching, leading mastermind programs, and she's helped hundreds of entrepreneurs and women leaders build thriving, sustainable businesses, blending sharp strategy with mindset and habit mastery to achieve next-level success without sacrificing living a life they love. So welcome, Laurie, to the Build and Scale Boldly podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you.
So, Laurie, I'm so excited to have you here because we have so much fun with what we're doing in Beyara, and you have so much experience seeing what creates success in entrepreneurship over all of your lifetime of experience. And so what we're really going to be talking about is trying to give people some pearls of wisdom that they can walk away with from this episode that they can apply right away. And we're going to center everything about what women need to succeed in business and the most important things that you've seen in those patterns. So why don't we start out with giving everyone a little bit of background about who you are and your experiences, and then we can dive right in. Let's talk about Beyara, and then let's talk about kind of those patterns you've seen.
Sounds great. As you mentioned, I was 26 years in corporate America in C-suite roles and really ran businesses on the operations side and worked with a lot of the leadership teams and team building and finding the right people and scaling these businesses, all the different areas, marketing, sales, operations, HR, all of it. So I've had my hand in every little piece and really learned from the ground up from, the second I started working. And I've kind of absorbed all of this, and I've learned the processes and the systems and the things that work and the things that haven't worked that well. And it's really given me this foundation of this business, strategy and acumen that I can bring to other people. A few years ago, I got into the coaching realm kind of by accident. And I just have this purpose of helping people. I just love helping people. It's one of the reasons why I love working for people, because I love helping them build their businesses and really follow their purpose. My purpose is to help people follow their purpose. So working in coaching kind of just happened organically, and I started working life coaching side, and it slowly turned into a lot of business knowledge. So I was bringing a lot of my ops background and things that I've done to them to help them work through things that were happening in their businesses or trying to get businesses off the ground. A lot of times we have really great ideas and don't know where to go with them. And I think that's the biggest block in entrepreneurship is really getting started. Everybody kind of stops, and I'm a doer. So let's make a plan and let's figure out a way and get started. When I started working with people through other coaching programs and masterminds that I ran, I came really this strategist of how can we get started? And once we're started, how can we grow in a way that is aligned with who we are as a person? And that's really important to me. And that's what eventually brought me here to you. We worked together on a previous coaching program that I was running, and I'm here with Beyara, and I get to help wonderful female entrepreneurs who either are looking to start their businesses, have really great ideas, but don't know where to go, or in the midst of it and are feeling a little bit stuck and don't know how to grow and how to really build and scale their businesses in the right way that serves them profitably, but yet doesn't take over their lives, which I think is really important as women. We have to make sure that what we're doing serves all areas of our lives, and we're fulfilled in everywhere we need to be, and we have joy.
Yes. Oh my gosh, absolutely. I think that the tendency, especially if you're a high achieving woman, is, you've been taught to kind of put those achievements first. And a lot of times that means that we put ourselves and our personal lives kind of on the back burner, and really are the business, or, if you're in a career, that takes the first priority for you. And for building your own business, you have the opportunity to kind of realign things and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to put myself first. But so many of us don't do that. And I think that that's something that you really excel at. I know personally, but also in advising all the people who we're working with Beyara to make sure that they're making space for themselves. So maybe that's where we start. So let's talk about what women need to succeed in business. And I think this is part of what really is important to them.
Absolutely. And I've always kind of been in this mindset of if you're in a situation and you're miserable or it's draining you, you're in the wrong place. So you have to move. And we tend to, as women, fight through that, right? So we just want to grind through it. We want to make it work, make it work. But sometimes it's better to step back, reassess, and then move forward. And I think, a few podcast episodes ago, you did an episode on intentional lifestyle design. And it's a great concept in that as women, especially as we're heading into business, we need to look at what do we want our lives to look like? We want to have all the things, but we want to have them the right way. This is what I want my life to look like. Like we've discussed, I want time freedom. I want location freedom. I want to make sure that I'm spending time on myself with my family, and having a successful, purpose, mission-driven career. And to do that has to be intentional. So, and set up what your life needs to look like, what you really want for your life, and then come back and say, okay, now that I'm starting this business, or now that I'm moving into the next steps in my business, what do I need that to look like to fit into my lifestyle design, what I truly want and need? Because if you do that and you stay in alignment with it, then it becomes easier. It doesn't feel so daunting. So really looking at, we're so conditioned to do it all, and we have to, females can do it all, and we can, but we have to do it intentionally. We have to really look at what makes the most sense in our lives. If you have young children, or your children are getting older, with time with your partner, time with your health, we don't have to give up those things to be successful. For me, the overwhelming success is being able to have all of that the way that I want it and setting up my life that way. So when I look at my business, it's really important. And I have these conversations with entrepreneurs just starting out when they're like, I have to do all the things and I have to get this done and I have to work 15, 16-hour days or it's not going to get done. That's not true. If you really look at the things that need to get done and you break them down into manageable pieces and you schedule them accordingly, intentionally, figure out where you shine and then where you don't. I'm really good at saying this is not an area that I'm good in. And then making plans to hire people to help you do those things. I think that's really important first, is to look at what do you want your life to look like and how do you want this business or whatever you're doing to fit into that. You shouldn't be fitting your life around your business. It's got to be the opposite. Your life has to be the first priority. You, your relationships, your family, your health, all of those things come first. Business comes second. It's very important, but it's your business, which is part of your life. Your life isn't part of your business. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. A couple of things that come out of that is we have a lot of urgency, I think, to be able to get things done as fast as possible. And sometimes just slowing it down and doing it this way doesn't even mean that you're necessarily slowing it down, especially if you think more efficiently and you get leverage with other people. It actually could go faster than you trying to spend 16 hours days in doing it. But just recognizing that a lot of us have this urgency, and it's false urgency that we put on ourselves. And even if it takes, let's say, a couple months longer, is that okay for your quality of your life? I would argue that yes, it is okay. And then lastly, that I want to just highlight the stepping back and saying, what do I really want first? This is something I see people do very, very rarely. I know we have a lot of hot seats in our mastermind that we lead. And I was just looking at one of the hot seats recently, and it said, what's your outcome that you want? And they came up with solutions that they thought of, but they didn't say, what do I really want first?
Right.
Such a natural trap for us to fall into, to say, okay, well, what are the possible solutions that I see in front of me? Instead of saying, actually, what does my ideal solution look like? Independent of all the other possible solutions I thought of, what would be my ideal? Okay, now that I have that ideal very clearly defined, now let me look for solutions that support that ideal, right? And we just don't tend to do that. So thinking outcome first, I think Tony Robbins' RPM, results, purpose, massive action, that result piece is like, what do I actually want? If you remember to put that first, you're actually going to be ahead of so many other people, because it is not our natural tendency to do that. And I feel like, 99.9% of people don't start with that idea of what do I want first. They don't even think it's possible a lot of times to actually get what they want. So they don't even start by thinking that way.
Absolutely. And the other mistake that we make as females is that massive action that we're going to take. We get super excited. We want to go full steam ahead, which is wonderful. but not at the expense of everything else. So if you do that with intentionality, you block out time on your calendar to really just block out the noise and focus on that and get it done and make movement. And I know one of your mentors has said it, lift the anchor, a quarter inch off the ground. I talk about stacking cards. If you take a deck of cards and you put one card down, it looks like nothing on a table. Once you stack 2, 3, 4, 10, 20 cards, it starts to make and you start to see the progress of it. If you just block off time and say, this is my focus time, that I'm going to work on these things. I'm going to take massive action on the items that I know I need to get done to get to my desired outcome, then we can do it all, because we have all these little blocks of time set to do the things that need to get done in all the areas that matter, not at the expense of all the other things.
Yeah, I was just reminding myself, because I was looking at my list of things that I needed to get done more recently, and I was feeling that way. And I said to myself, I have all the time for everything I'm meant to do. And so that also is a really great reminder for me anyway, is to say, okay, there's a million things to do. What are the most important ones? What's the 20% that's going to move the 80% needle? Because yeah, we could do all of those things, but a lot of them are not as high value as some of the core high value things. And those core high value ones are the ones that are going to lift the anchor a quarter inch off the ground. And not only do you don't need to like do leaps and bounds right away, but if you focus on those few things that make the biggest difference, and remember, you have all the time for everything you're meant to do, that can feel really freeing, because it can be very heavy to think that you have to do everything you can imagine you need to do.
For sure. I'm a big imperfect action person. Just take some action. Just try something, do something. The only wrong way to do something is not to do it, in my mind. There's no right way. It's just you're doing it. That is the right way. You're doing it the way that works best for you. And as long as you're taking that action and moving that needle and just getting something done, you will get the result.
So really that's about, I would say, putting the outcome first. And maybe putting yourself first, making sure that your business fits around your life. What are some of the other patterns that you've seen that really help entrepreneurs be successful?
So one of the other things that's really important, and it ties into this a little bit, like I mentioned, I find the things that I'm not good at. It's really having the right team around you. I say this all the time to people I coach in business. You solve all of your problems with people. The right people in the right seats, doing the right tasks, working within their zone of genius. It's better than any influx of cash. It's better than any, great ideas. If you have the right people on your team who are aligned with your vision, believe in the mission of the company, they're A players, they fit your culture, and they truly care. That's the secret sauce. Everybody wants to know what the secret sauce is. It's your team. It's your people. It's the interaction of those people. So for me, hiring, finding the right people, making sure that they are really clear what their roles are, that there's systems and processes in place for them to be able to follow, that they feel that they're part of something bigger than just themselves. That's been the biggest thing for me, whether I was in corporate or working with entrepreneurs now. It's finding the right people, for sure.
Yeah, and I think finding the right people not only helps your business grow, but to scale and really go big, I think you have to hire people who are much smarter than you. They're the people who come in and they love project management and they love looking at the details and they love creating timelines. That is a person who's smarter than you in an area. And if you just surround yourself with people who are smarter than you, you're bound to succeed. And I don't think I really understood that for a lot of the journey that I've been on, as a business owner. I think in a lot of times I hired people and I was like, oh, I'm going to train them up. I'm going to help them kind of be able to do this job. But that also becomes heavy. Whereas if you would just hire people smarter than you in that area who love that area, right? I think about in EOS, they have a get it, want it, have capacity for it. And that's how you think about people and whether or not they fit their job. They get the job, they understand it, they want it because it fits who they are, right? It's not like they're an extrovert and they're stuck in a detail job, right? It actually fits who they want. And they have that capacity to do it long term and to be happy doing it. And if you get those kind of right players who really are an expert in their area, or at least love their area and are smarter than you and can figure it out in a way that maybe you're just not naturally inclined to do, that's ultimately what allows your business to scale over time because you don't have to shoulder it.
Yeah, I love sitting down, and I usually do this a couple times a year, really going through everything that's on my plate as an entrepreneur and figuring out what am I doing, what am I really good at, what am I doing that I'm not good at, And where can I really find somebody who's better? I know there's a lot of things that I am not good at. And there's some things that I'm good at, but I don't enjoy doing. And if I can find people who are good at it and enjoy doing it, they're going to do it infinitely better than me. They're going to be so much more excited to do the work. I'll get it done, but at what cost, right? So for me, finding those people, like you said, they're smarter than me. They know more than me in these areas. They're excited to do it. They're going to do it really, really well. Now, on the flip side of that, I also believe there are some tasks that even though I can do really well and I like doing them, it's not really the best use of my time. And it's hard as an entrepreneur, as we control everything so tightly, we want to hold on to it, to let that go. And like you said, you want to train them up. You want to do, sometimes we have to step back and, Sarah Blakely says this all the time. Somebody doing the role, that job, 80% of the way you did it still is wonderful because you're not doing it. It has now freed up your time. So it might not be 100% of the way that I would have done it, but if they can do it at least 80% or better, then it's getting done and we can continue to move. And that's how you grow. You have to let go of some of that control and you have to recognize, like, even though I love to do this and I'm really, really good at it, it's just not serving the business for me to be involved in it every day. So finding the right people to take on that role, I'm a big trust person. So when I hire people and, we work together and I realize there's a trust factor, I give them autonomy. I trust them. I let them do the job. I meet with them. I provide guidance. I love open communication, but I allow them to flourish in their role. And by doing that, it allows me not to have to think about it all the time. When we meet, we go through it. When I have tasks I need to do for them, I do them and I can concentrate on it. But then I feel good about saying, okay, you know what? She has that. And I can go focus on this now because this is what really needs my attention. This is where my zone of genius is and where I want to spend my time because it's going to help the business or it's going to help the people I'm working with. So finding those people is really important. And when I hire, I don't necessarily go through your skill set as much as it's the characteristics of who you are as a person. That's what I want to know when I talk to you. I want to know that you care. I want to know that you have compassion. All of these things that I would expect from people I want to spend my time with, those are the people I want to work with.
And people with radical common sense. I say that all the
Yes.
time, like who can figure it
Yes.
out and can kind of come to the right conclusion because that allows them to reason and figure out what to do without you telling them what to do or you
For sure.
needing to step in. And I think about how you and I have worked together in Beyara and how amazing it's been that, the first time I met you, I started recruiting you right away because I could tell how competent you were and I could tell how you worked, how you worked independently and you thought through things and you just could make decisions and make the right decisions and move things forward without somebody needing to oversee every single thing that you were doing. And how amazing it's been to build Beyara where we both are competent in our own selves. And it's like, hey, can you get this done? Okay, you got it. And it's handled. And like, you say the same thing to me, like, hey, can you, we need you to build this content. And I'm like, okay, I got it handled. And it's like two people who can carry the weight showing up and moving the business forward. It moves forward so much faster when you have that relationship where you really can trust each other to be able to deliver what needs to be done at a really high quality and to be able to think through problems and come up with the right solution, that radical common sense. If you can find people like that, you become lifers for them. Like I'm a lifer for my executive assistant because she's like that and it's remarkable.
And there's also knowing when you're working with someone who has that radical common sense, when they do come to you with a problem, it is because they have exhausted every other possibility and now they need you. And I'm open for that. I'm right here for it. But if there's a problem or something needs to be changed, I'm going to do everything I can to get it done on my own. And I expect that the same from the people that I work with. Again, because we've built guidelines and structure and it's very clear what the expectation is and how we operate. So people can make those decisions. And then if you need my input, that's fine, but bring me 3 solutions for every problem that comes up. Don't bring me 3 problems with no solutions. And, when you find those people who just get it, they can think a little bit critically. They have that radical common sense. It's never about putting it on somebody else's plate. It's about figuring out how they can take off the plate. Like that's what I want to work with. And, you and I work really well together. And I think for me, I love the people who will be like me that just say like, I don't know the answer to this and I don't know how to do it. And I've tried to figure it out and I can't and I need help. And that's a very different situation when you're working with someone who can communicate that and come to you as opposed to this is a problem and I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it. And those people are just, they're such a pleasure to work with. Yeah. And like, I just told Taylor, who I work with, who I, adore.
We love
Yesterday, I
Taylor.
was like, I was like, Taylor, I'm just telling you right now, no matter what, like you are stuck with me for life. Like you can't do anything but work with me. And we laugh because there is such ease in working with her and such confidence, which is another thing that I think is really important for women in business is having confidence, but not ego. And you and I work together. We have confidence, but we never bring ego or arrogance into the room. And I think as female entrepreneurs, that's really important to be confident in who you are, but also be humble.
Yes. And actually, in anyone you want to work with, I think about Patrick Lencioni's book, The Ideal Team Player. And he says ideal team players are hungry, humble, and smart. And the humble is in there because there's always something we can learn. There's always some way we can get better. We can learn from everyone around us. Everybody's perspective needs to be heard in a business because people will see things that you don't see. Doesn't matter if you're the CEO of the business or your leadership, like people will see things that you don't see, and you have the opportunity to learn from everyone around you. And if you are not humble, if you think that you know everything, that is sure destruction because there's a business you're in right now and there's a business you need to be in 5, 10 years from now, and your business has to change. And so you have to go learn all the time. And you are not a person who knows everything that's going to work 5 or 10 years from now. You have to be learning. You and I are voracious readers. We're reading all the time. We're learning from other people. We're trying things. We're implementing. We're doing, skunk works where you're testing things and seeing if they work or not. And you have to be humble enough to know that you don't know everything and that you need to be a lifelong learner to be able to succeed in business because things change all the time.
For sure. And my grandmother, God, I was probably 10 years old. I came home. I was so excited. I was like, I did this special class or whatever, and I was so smart. I knew more than everybody in the room. And my grandmother said to me, she's like, Laurie Ann, let me tell you this right now. She's like, if you are ever in a room where you are the smartest person, you need to walk out of that room. And I looked at her and I didn't understand. And she was like, you want to be the one who knows the least in that because then you have so much more of an opportunity to learn. So I have taken that in my life with me. And I realize now that number one, I belong in every room I walk into. And I've walked in some rooms where some pretty high powered people where I'm just like, oh my God, what am I doing here, right? I can't believe I'm here. But I belong there because I bring something to that room, just like every other person in that room or every person I meet in my life has something to teach me that I don't know. And it could be anybody. It could be the person at a checkout line. It could be person I'm building a business with. Everybody knows something. They have knowledge to share with you, but you have to be open. You have to be humble enough to realize that you don't know it all and be open to hearing it. And sometimes it's even just a different perspective of what you already know that can be a game changer for you. And that's super important. And I think, especially as female entrepreneurs, like we have to be sponges and we have to be willing to listen and really hear what people are saying to us. Don't let our opinions and judgments stop, and don't let any negativity in. Let the information come, let it sit, and then decide, okay, what can I do with this? How can I take this knowledge now and use it towards growing my business? Is this something that will work for me? Also knowing that just because X worked for one doesn't mean that it's going to work for someone else. There are snippets that you can take from it and bring into your life. And that's what I love about really good, like Tony is a prime example. I've worked with Jesse Itzler before running his masterminds, and they never say you have to do these 4 things to be happy or to have success. They say, here's the roadmap. Here's the guide. Here's the foundation, the format, much like we have our framework. Here's some things that you can try in your life or in your business. Move the needle little by little by taking the advice from someone else who has done it and experienced good and bad. We've fallen down. We've had success. We've learned from it. Now take what we've learned. Now you try and see what works for you. And if you're closed off from that, and you're just, you're a little bit arrogant, like you know everything and you know what to do and, you have your 10 steps, and it probably won't go so easy. So as female entrepreneurs, we have to kind of shake all of that off and realize that people aren't trying to tell us what to do. They're trying to give us advice without judgment. And we have to get really used to some hard conversations and clear communication, because a lot of females do want the message softened. That people aren't coming at you. They're trying to give you their experience to help you. And if you can be open to that and take it with, this is coming from a place of care and compassion and overall desire for me to be successful, then you'll thrive for sure.
Yeah, I'm smiling because I remember one of my mentors who I came in and I was telling him about, how I had so much going on and there I was carrying too much, and I didn't say overwhelmed, but I was kind of saying all of that. And he was like, every time you come in here, you're just carrying this warm sack of shit on your shoulder, and you put it down and you wipe it all over your face and you tell me the same story. Like, I don't want to ever hear that again. And it was pretty shocking to hear somebody say that to you. But at the same time, when you know they have the intention of helping you and they want to do something that sticks in your brain, like, I will forever remember that. And I will never make those kind of excuses again and tell that sob story again, because, it was so eye-opening, and it literally sticks with me. Like, hey, if this is a situation, if this is how you're feeling, go do something about it. Don't sit around and complain about it and say that it was what held you back. And so, yeah, sometimes these things are not easy to hear. And that's part of the growth mindset of like taking those things and saying, hey, this is helping me get stronger. This is helping me grow. Knowing that people have the best intentions for you, especially if they're people you're learning from, that's exactly why they're there, is to help you get better, to see things that you don't see, and to help snap you out of those patterns. Now, I
Absolutely.
know we could go forever, but
Yes.
I know we've gone pretty long, and we'll have to do this again for sure, because there's more to it. But I think those are some of the really big keys, right? Being humble, getting the right people in the right seats around you, and asking yourself, what do I really want? And putting yourself first, and making sure that there's space for yourself. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great place to start. And I think if you can focus on those things and close out the noise around you, for sure, you'll start to move towards success.
Now, there's a couple questions I want to ask every guest who comes on. And since you're the first guest, you're going to get it. Here's the first. Think of a time you've acted boldly in your businesses in the face of uncertainty or fear. When was it, and what did you learn from it?
So it was actually a few years ago. I was working in corporate. I had an amazing job for an amazing company, and Jesse Itzler offered me the opportunity to come work for him full time and launch his coaching program. There was nothing, there was no foundation, there was nothing. It was just an idea. And I had worked in corporate where everything was structured, and I called the lawyer, I asked for something, they gave it to me. And all of a sudden, after all of this time, I was becoming an entrepreneur overnight, and I really felt like I had no idea what I was doing. And I decided to take the leap, and I started from scratch. And I was so afraid because I had no idea if this would be an idea that I actually could make happen, if I could design this program and start this company and sell this, and Jesse was like, here's the keys, go drive the car, figure it out. And it was terrifying. And I decided to break it into manageable chunks and just do one thing at a time. Like, okay, I got to start the company. I'll get the LLC. I have to, do the structure of what the company is going to look like and what we're going to sell. What are our product lines? Like, get that done. And I just went back to the roots of corporate. How do I get things done? I made it a project. And I, much like EOS, I like to, I go look at my outcomes. What do I want? What's my goals? What am I working towards? And then I work backwards, and I just get all these action steps in place, and I do my rocks. I get one thing done, and then I go, from EOS, I pick up my rock, I throw it, and I do the next thing to there. And little by little, I just kept building these little wins and movement towards what we needed to do. And in 6 months, I went from starting a company with an LLC to a 7-figure successful business by myself. And it was because I just went back to the basics of what I knew to do and didn't get overwhelmed by the big picture in front of me. I just made it manageable and just kept taking that massive action to move towards my outcome, to move towards the goal.
And you didn't let fear stop you, right? Fear is a
No, I
natural
use
part,
it.
right, of trying anything new, and you didn't let it stop you.
No, and there's a saying, I don't know who said it, I use this all the time, but, fear can have two meanings. It's, fear everything and run, or face everything and rise. And I use fear as a motivator. If I'm afraid to do something, it's a pretty good indication that I'm on the right path. Because if I'm not scared, then I'm comfortable. I'm not going to grow if I'm comfortable. So the uncomfortableness and the fear drive me to actually move towards it and use that fear as the realization of like, this is good. This is a good thing. And I should continue to do it and not let that stop me from achieving what I know I can do.
Okay, number 2. What is one piece of advice you give to female entrepreneurs building and growing their businesses?
Take an hour a day for yourself.
Okay.
And I know that's not a business piece of advice, but it really is. When you are looking at your day and you're looking at your ideal life and everything, if you just set aside one single hour a day, I call it my Laurie hour, where I get to choose what I do, whether I read, I go to yoga, I go for a walk, I sit outside it doesn't matter. That hour is mine. And some people tend to do it really early in the morning. Some people build it into the afternoon, in the evening, but it's just 1 hour that's all mine to serve me. That's what I advise you to do, because if you can do that, you'll have served yourself first, and now you can show up for everybody else. Leti, I've mentioned this before. There's a reason they tell you to put the oxygen mask on first. And that hour is your oxygen mask. It allows you to fill up what you need so that you can show up in a better place for what needs to be done and for your people. And if you don't do it, you'll start to have this feeling where it's like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do that. And you put yourself last, and you're basically telling your body, your mind, your spirit, like, I'm not a priority. So make yourself a priority. I'm not saying just blow off everything. 1 hour a day. And if you can't schedule 1 hour a day for yourself, then we really need to look at what you're doing in your life, because you're not following the intentional life design that you want. You're giving everything to everybody else. So for me, if you're a female entrepreneur, schedule that hour every single day that's just for you, and make sure you use it for you time so that you can show up better.
Awesome. That's such phenomenal advice. I was thinking we got to write a newsletter about that for sure. So how do people find out more about what you're doing with Beyara? How do they get a hold of you?
So you can reach me via email if you want to talk to me directly at Laurie, Laurie, at Beyara.com, or you can visit our website at www.beyara.com. It's BEYARA.com. We have a few programs that we're running. So we have The Wing, which is our year-long mastermind program, and it's designed for female entrepreneurs who are in business and they're running 5 or 6 figure businesses, and they really want to build and scale boldly up to 7, 8 figures and beyond. And then we have our launch, which is a business accelerator, and that is geared for female entrepreneurs who have an idea, who are getting ready to start, or who have just started and are just trying to figure out how to break through that 5 to 6 figure area and really get their business off the ground. They're just, starting out and a little bit unsure, and they need that community and that support around them. So the launch is a 10-week program where we'll have educational calls as well as a community call once a week. So every week we'll have calls. It'll give you the foundation to really lay out what your business is, get your business plan ready, get your brand sorted out so that you get your first offer really off the ground.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Laurie. This was so much fun. And I know we're going to have to do it again for sure. I imagine you'll be a frequent guest on this podcast. You have so much
pleasure.
So much to teach all of us. So thank you for your time and sharing your insights with everybody.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here, and it's always a pleasure to work with you, Leti, and hopefully I will hear from some of our listeners soon.